Happy New Year, Brad. How are you
Hey Pat,
doing?
Happy New Year. How you doing?
Yeah, it's good to see you. Yeah, just recovering from last night. No, we stayed at home with the family and just had some fun here, watched some fireworks, and those kind of things. And
Yeah.
I'm sure in New York it was probably crazy for you. I mean, you're not in the city, but I could just imagine what it was like. Have you ever gone down to Times Square or anything like that?
No, never
Oh,
for
really?
New Year's.
I guess it's just so fascinating for us who like live in other parts of the world and we see it on TV and we say, man, that would be really cool to be out there
Yeah.
freezing and just having that time. but
Oh,
but no, that's it's all good. But yeah, we've started this channel really in 2021 and I've been trying to really go forward in the last couple months, really trying to get out there a little bit more and promote the channel and try to add some value and be able to be a good resource. And so I've kind of learned a lot of things, and I'm excited about moving forward into 2022. And I have kind of a lot of ideas, and I want to hear some of your thoughts on that too. And I just really want this, when I initially started, I wanted this to really be a resource where, stringers can kind of get together and share their experiences, share their resources, and I've already seen a little bit of that just in the last couple months and just collaborating with other people and some of the plans that I have. And I want to kind of share that in the short video here, starting out the new year.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's been nice. We've just through this show that you've had me on, it's been great. I've kept up my studies on things and learned some things, which has been great. You've had some good regular contributors who we've gotten to know a tiny bit, and they've contributed some great stuff and asked some good questions. So I'm just kind of looking forward to, where you're going to take this in 2022, hopefully get a lot more subscribers, and you get some different types of guests on from various places around the world involved with stringing. But it's nice how you're kind of building this network of stringers, and just kind of like another extended family, kind of like when you're on the tour, kind of become
Hmm.
a family with the people you travel with, like a traveling circus. You're always seeing the same people every week, and now with this stringing platform that you're creating, it's starting to feel a little bit similar. you
Yeah,
know
and it's going to be fun just to kind of follow, now that we're starting a new year, a new tennis year is starting, right? And we can, I want to be able to follow all those tournaments, through this channel, and hope to, pick out all the things that are kind of related to stringing specifically, and how that maybe can help the people, at all levels of stringing, whether they're just thinking about starting to string, whether they want to string rackets for themselves, where do you start, where do you get the resources, and kind of just provide a place where all that information kind of comes together, and that's one thing. Sometimes I have some of my subscribers, or I get comments on the channel regarding, where can I get that information, or can you send me, that the stuff that you talked about in the video and so forth. So I want to put together some of those resources like on paper. As an example, one of the things is, doing a pre-stringing racket check, right? Kind of a list of all the things that you should be looking for before you string a racket for someone, kind
yeah.
of like, checking the grommets, checking the condition of the racket, maybe wiping the racket down, looking at the grip, all those kind of things, and just making a simple checklist and then having that available for everyone for free, just kind of something that they can download and they can make that and customize that. But at least that way they have something to start with. Another thing is, I just started going on Instagram, and I just put the racket stringing tips onto an Instagram account so that I can every day I'm putting tips on there, specific tips that I have in it. Some of the ones that we talked about here on the channel, and also all of I have a large list of stringing tips, so I'm just going to be putting those on there, and that way it's a good reminder every day. Some small little things. Maybe when I find some resources and some maybe good deals on strings, those kind of things, I can put that on there as well. So that's kind of something that I'm looking forward to. Um, Maybe making some more detailed videos, right? Doing some videos specifically on certain things that based on questions that come in. You know, I want to
Yeah.
start answering questions like we just started doing a couple days ago, just answering one question at a time that comes in, and then something that we can dialogue together even. And yeah, and you know, there's a lot of other ideas I have. I don't want to really share all of those right now, but you know, I want to be rolling those out in the coming year. And yeah, and of course, I've got some goals for myself, you know, to get better, and things that I want to do pertaining to stringing and tennis for the coming year. And I'm sure you have some too. So maybe we can just share a couple of those. We don't really need to do a long video today, but we just wanted to kind of like, you know, introduce the new year.
Yep.
And thank everybody for watching, for subscribing, and hopefully building that subscriber base this year, of course, would be fun.
Yeah, because I mean the new year has kicked off. I mean, not just you know, not just the new January 1, it just the first tennis matches were played today in Australia with the ATP Cup. So you had, I don't know if it was 6 countries played today, or but you know, Serbia played today. I'm trying to remember who else. But yeah, tennis has begun, and you know, here's hoping that things are able to get played, and tournaments get in, and things like that. I'm looking forward to, you know, this year getting into a little bit more than just tennis stringing. I'm hoping, you know, that's my joy. My love is tennis,
Mm-hmm.
but I do hope to be able to take advantage of this Wilson Bayardo machine that I purchased in 2021 and string some squash rackets or badminton or racquetball. So that's kind of my goal. I've reached out to a local university here, and they said that they would be happy to use my services. So hopefully that'll come true as the season kicks off soon. And then, you know, I think it's important that, you know, not only are you and I educating ourselves through, you know, some of the listeners and some of the comments, learning from them, but also I hope that, you know, that we both continue to kind of teach and help people understand, so the quality of just everything picks up. You know, everyone involved with stringing. One of the things I'm trying to educate a lot of my clients um, is that there are specs for each string, you know, and maybe they're not interested in it as much as I am, but it's important, you know. And the string packaging doesn't always make you aware of the specs. They'll just say it's, hey, this is the soft version, or the arm friendly, or this or that. But every string has, you know, the string stiffness, the tension loss, the spin potential. So there's a variety of things that are available out there at the click of a button on a computer. And so I think that's important for people who are play testing strings and just learning more about strings, to educate yourself. And you can do that either, you know, through the USRSA, the United States Racket Stringers Association website, if you're a member, or you can go on Tennis Warehouse University and play around there, comparing strings, looking at strings. And so I think that's a real important step too, is just to learning about the different types of strings out there. Because, you know, what one package says is a soft string, I mean, that could be really hard compared to a different soft string, or maybe it could be hard compared to a string that doesn't even advertise as a soft string. So you really need to look, kind of get under the hood, right? And really
Yeah,
look,
being able to do that kind of research for yourself. And I
yeah,
think this year I hope to be able to do some of that, because really when you're looking for a string, you want, you know, the first goal is to get something that keeps it, you know, that has good tension maintenance, right?
yeah,
Because if it's going to lose 50% of the tension or 40% of the tension within 24 hours, it's really not going to do you that much good unless you plan on restringing, you know, every week. And
right,
so the whole goal is to find something that has that longevity. And sometimes the only way that you're going to really be able to find that information is to do the research yourself. I mean, there's a lot of great things on Tennis University, and I'll be sharing a lot of those kind of things, you know, in the following year as well, and doing comparisons. And but you know, I'm gonna try some of those things as well. Take a string, you know, string it up on a racket, get a reference tension, let it sit for 24 hours, check what that tension is, then see how much I've lost, and then maybe take it on the court and just hit 100 balls with it, and then see what the tension is.
yeah.
and then take another string and do the same thing, and that way, in the same racket, and with the same, try to keep all the parameters the same, keep all the conditions the same, except
I thought that would be great. A good idea. If you can get 4 of the same rackets, and
Hmm.
let's get 4 different strings, string them all at the same day, record the dynamic or the actual tension the second you pull it off the frame, and then just let them sit for 4 weeks. And every morning you check, after a week you check, after 2 weeks you check, after a month, and let's see how the strings stand up. I mean, they say one thing or the other, but how is Hyper G going to compare to RPM Blast, going to compare to ALU Power, going to compare to whatever the next one is,
Well,
yeah.
especially when you look at all these small companies that are coming out, or just smaller companies in general that have comparative type strings, but we don't have a lot of information on them, and we don't
Yeah.
really have a good comparison. I'll give you an example. A recent one that I just discovered called Toro Line. Right, they make a couple strings, and one of them, is called Wasabi, and it's
Okay.
it's a square kind of string, and it's a poly based, a small company. They're based in the US. They have free shipping to the US. You can go online, pay like $4 and get a test set. And I think I'm going to do that. But those kind of strings, if they're not, you know, widely distributed or widely recognized yet, you're going to have to do the research on your own on those.
Yeah.
But you might find that one of those strings for $8 to $10 or whatever the price is going to compare or even have better tension maintenance than some of the well-known marketed strings that are out there at a higher premium. So
Yeah.
those are the kind of things that we want to be able to find. We want to be able to find those kind of strings and help you with those. And for the most part, I think it'll just be a money saving venture for
Yeah.
me.
Then I little Catskin. The
Mm,
one of the things that is a little frustrating, because I've gotten a few new strings this year too from some smaller companies, and I do like when I can look up the specs. And Tennis Warehouse University doesn't have every string. Racket Tech, which is the USRSA website, does not have every string in the database. And then if you ask the manufacturer of the string, which I did a month or so ago at a couple of strings I got, they just didn't he didn't have it handy. So not everyone has the actual specs. Or at least, I haven't been able to find it when I've tried, even going directly to a manufacturer of a smaller company. A lot of it comes down to, no matter what the specs say, it's still got to feel good when you play with it. So I guess that's the biggest thing. But you need a starting point, right? And I want a starting point. If a string is above 250 string stiffness or 240, I don't even really want to touch it for myself, right? So I want that range before I decide, hey, am I even going to try this? Because I've had arm injuries, and I'm not looking for something that's going to be difficult on my arm, or tough on my arm. So
mhm.
it is nice to, and I think it's becoming easier for people to find these, and I think it's becoming more and more important. And I think manufacturers are realizing this, that it's important. They kind of let us know what are we actually getting.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's definitely something that I'm going to spend some time this year looking at.
Yeah,
And so, as far as some goals, I think the squash is definitely something I would like to try as well. Start stringing some of those rackets, and I think maybe when you get started with that too, then we can also do some dialogue and have some videos on that, and kind of like stringing squash from a different perspective, from somebody who's new, so we can really walk through the whole steps of what we first find and what we first look at and things that we first observe when we're doing it, as a
yeah.
newbie on that. So that would, be really good.
When I thought
Um,
of one yesterday, I was, as I'm thinking about it, if I string for this local college team, I have to remember that a lot of them are international players, and so I've got to make sure that if they tell me attention, that I know what they're talking about. Are they talking in pounds or kilograms or what? So if they say I want it at 35, you better find out what. I mean, for that,
yeah,
it's important
right.
that you know what they're
Yeah.
telling you.
For the most part, you might be able to kind of guess, but there's been some situations where the tension is so close as far as the number, where it could be either a kilogram, it could be
Right.
kilos, or it could be in pounds. So you do
Yeah.
really have to ask, because you never know. You never know. So you don't want to suppose or guesstimate which one it is. You need to get clarification, because
Yeah. Yeah.
it only takes once or twice to do that the wrong way, and you're just shooting yourself on that. So that's a good point. And most of the times it's going to be kilos, right? Because most people use the metric system, and
Yeah.
the America was only place that uses the standard system, like pounds and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think
So,
and our machines are all set so we can adjust quickly to either or without a problem, and so forth. So yeah, so I think collaborating with other great stringers out there, having more people on the show, and just having fun doing it. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to coming up. I like your
yeah.
sweatshirt. Where'd you get that?
That was a Christmas present this year. Yeah, my Babolat sweatshirt. I don't know if you
Oh,
can see it.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's nice.
from my mother got it for me.
That's nice.
So yeah, so
I don't think a sweatshirt would work for me here. I think a t-shirt maybe, but not a
yeah,
sweatshirt.
we're getting into the high 20-degree Fahrenheit
I
this
know.
week, so it's starting to get cold. But it's we got through December with a lot of mild days, so it's been pretty lucky. And once we hit March, we could see a 50-degree day, or we could see a 10-degree day. So at
Wow.
least light at the end of the tunnel in March. So we got a
Mhm.
couple months here, and
Mhm.
we'll see what happens. But I'm looking forward to kind of seeing what's going out there, especially with all the platforms now, YouTube, Instagram. We now that we've gotten to meet a lot of these stringers that string for the tournaments around the world, we get to see what they post and what they're
Mhm.
sharing regarding their stringing. We met someone at the last virtual symposium from the ERSA. I think they're
Right.
doing some stringing in Australia. So it's good to just kind of see what's out there and what's happening, what's popular.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm still trying to decide if I'd want to go get back out there and maybe try another tournament do a string at a tournament this year. It's been a few years since I've done it. But
I wouldn't mind doing a futures or
it's,
something, a smaller tournament, a
a smaller
challenger.
tournament, maybe college, or a challenger, or a smaller 250 event, or
Yeah,
something like that, where it's not as stressful, and it can be a little bit more fun, and you can just enjoy a little bit of the tennis and just kind of see what's going on. Um, with me, the thing is, I live all the way over here in Hawaii, right? So it's a little harder to get places, and who knows what's going to happen this fall, coming year, and even we don't even know what's going to happen over at the Australian Open, right? Because there's a lot of people starting to pull out of that tournament and decided not to play for various reasons, right? And
yeah.
so it's going to be interesting to see how some of these major tournaments,
Well, it sure will. It's every period has these things that happen that kind of skew the champion list and this
yeah,
and that. Or like I think what was it, Connors, when he won 3 of the 4 Grand Slams, he they banned him from Roland Garros because he signed a contract to play World Team Tennis or something, and they were not accepting of that. So he could have
yeah,
won 4 slams that year, but because he played World Team Tennis, he
yeah.
sued them. They didn't let him play. There's been
Yeah, different things, right? And
yeah,
with when the Olympics are around and all those kind of
right,
things, and initially I think with being a professional and amateur and all those kind of things that happens in a lot of sports, right? So there's always something, hurdles to overcome and stuff, but you just got to be your best in all those things, and just keep moving forward, so
yeah, yeah. What I do want to do is kind of review my 2021 and just kind of look back. How many different types of rackets did I string? What was my most popular string that I used? I do kind of like lists and stats. Everyone likes stats now. Tennis, there's so many stats all the time now. It's
Mhm.
kind of nice for goals, right?
Yeah, and also keeping more lists, maybe every time that we find out some more stats on players and things like that, pro players, we'll keep that together, I think,
Yeah,
in the database, and then we can share that as it's available, and update it and so forth, and yeah, just being able to share all those resources and everything. So that's really all I have for today. I just wanted to kind of just share, thanking everybody for coming on board this year and viewing these videos, and it's kind of, they're fun to make because not only do I get to just talk about tennis, I get to learn from this as well. Learned a lot this year, and the ERSA symposium as well, that was helpful, and I'm still going through some of those videos, hoping that that will help me to be able to get into a little bit other areas and just know what's happening in other parts of the world regarding stringing, because it's kind of like sometimes my focus has been just what's happening here in the United States.
Yeah.
And now being able to see what other stringers are doing and what techniques they use and what they're doing in other countries. And I'm just motivated to get a little bit better at weaving as well, and getting the time down a little bit on my racket stringing, my time on stringing a racket, and be kind of fun to see. I think I'm going to do a couple of those. Maybe we can have a little stringing competition online. See, just for fun,
Yeah,
maybe
fun.
you can, because since we both have the same machine, you can be on your machine, I'll be on my machine. We'll pick maybe the same string pattern racket,
same string,
same kind of string. Probably don't do it with a poly. Let's do it with the synthetic. Just so that, we can try to do it a little quicker, and then just it'd be kind of fun just to see where you're at with how quick you can string, and then and then through the year.
When do you time it? When do you start the timer? When the racket's mounted, the string is in your fingertips, ready to go through the holes, or?
No, you know what? It should be when, let's say, the racket, the strings don't have to be in the racket. Let's say it's just the racket, but the racket has to be, let's say, on the floor. You pick it up, and you have to mount it, secure it on the machine.
Yeah.
And then you have to also wait for the machine to say it's okay to clamp. You can't just, the machine can't be pulling while you're, releasing the clamp.
You gotta wait for the lights to go.
Yeah, you gotta wait for the lights to come on, and then go from there. And
so essentially press start and then pick up the racket and go.
Yep. Yeah. So I might do a test run. I might just do a test run and see how quick I can do a racket like that, and then I'll post the video. And then I'll post the video. What's that?
When do you stop the timer?
And then stop the timer when you have the racket back on the floor. Out of the machine, back on the floor. Strings straight. The strings have to be straightened. Strings have to be straightened.
Yeah, back on the floor.
Yeah.
Good. I love it.
Yeah. So
what do you think you would do? What do you think you would do with all that? What's your projected time?
Well, thinking of like a 16 by 18
or 19 pattern. Either one, 2-piece.
Yeah. I think 2-piece. We'll do 2-piece. I'm gonna say 15 minutes.
So you have to start with 1 piece though when the timer begins.
Yeah.
And you have to measure.
Yeah, because the string is still on the reel. Yeah. Let's say, or 15. in the set.
Yeah, on the reel. Yeah, 15 minutes. That's good.
Yeah. I should be able to do it in 15. So I'll do a whole video and just kind of taking people through that process. And then it's something that it's not something that everybody's necessarily going to need to strive for, right? But it's just kind of fun, and when you put yourself under a little bit of pressure, I think that helps you too. So when you do get into a tournament situation, you've got a little bit more pressure and going faster.
Yeah.
Because there are times when you do need to actually be able to string, because 15 minutes is not that fast, meaning that people can string a lot faster than that, a racket, right? If you've had a lot of practice. But the idea is not to do a racket as fast as possible, but you do need to be able to do it within a certain period of time. And 15 minutes, you should be able to do a racket because generally when, let's say at a professional tournament and it's an on-court racket, meaning, somebody specifically brought the racket back from the tennis court for somebody to string, they're expecting it to be done under that amount of time. I mean, stenciled, everything ready to go back out. So 15 minutes you should be able to do, but since I don't do a lot of speed stringing, so I think for me right now, 15 minutes is probably
And that's a good time because when you hear someone say 8, 9, 10 minutes, chances are that racket's mounted, strings cut, and they start at the second they
Yeah,
pull the first
or you're
string.
pulling the you're pulling the string so fast that, you're burning the string and,
Yeah,
the
right.
string will snap, when you try to go out and stuff. But yeah, I guess,
Excuse me.
yeah, I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll just leave it with, I think the one biggest thing for me is all those, aha moments, those things where like I never really thought about this before, or until somebody brought it up or somebody brought a question up. And, and one instances of that for me was thinking about, using a starting clamp and using something between your racket and the starting clamp, because I've used starting clamps for years and years and I never really thought about putting anything between it. And I know like people like, you got Richard Parnell, and he has the Parnell leather piece
Pad.
that goes between the pad. And the purpose of that pad is just to keep the racket integrity in place, meaning that, you're not going to have, you're not going to damage the frame with your starting clamp because of the pressure on when that's pulled. But then I see other people using separators, which are, or I guess what would you call it, like a bridge or whatever.
That's what I've been doing now,
Right.
and I love it.
And I was just thinking about that this morning. I was thinking like that
I'll
has a
show you
whole
mine.
different let me see that, because that has a whole different purpose, right? Because that actually keeps that piece of string from possibly being damaged from the starting clamp. Because
Totally.
when you think about the clamps that are on the machine, right? When you clamp a string, you're clamping it to secure it, but the pressure stops because the clamp locks.
Yeah.
But a starting clamp is just going to keep pressing on the string and squishing the string to some degree, right?
Yeah.
Because the starting clamp has a spring and it's just going to keep doing that. So this is a way for you to at least not damage that little piece of string that comes out of the frame, so that later on when you use that as a knot, you have it just.
All this is a 3/4 PVC pipe.
Uh-huh.
And I got a PVC cutters, like scissors, and I measured a few inches, about 2.5, 3 inches.
Because that's enough for you. Yeah, because that's enough.
And I put a piece of leather, and then the string goes through here. This goes against the frame,
Mm-hmm.
and the clamp goes on the outside here.
And
you know what I mean? Do you want me to show you the visual?
Yeah. Let me see. I think you showed it once before in another video as well, but I mean, I've seen people, 3D print, different devices and so forth, but that right there is a good, do it yourself kind of thing.
Yep. And then where am I here? This would go out here.
Right.
And then you pull the string, and it doesn't, it's going to crush the string up here, but you're not going to need that even for the knot. There's enough string there.
Right. So that way, at least you have enough string, that space between the racket, that 2.5 inches or 3 inches. How long did you say you make that?
This one is, I'll tell you exactly, about 2.5 to 3 inches. Let me just measure it so I can tell you.
Okay.
It works really well. And wouldn't you know it, one of the first times I used it, I didn't push the clamp down far enough, and it pulled a little bit. So I scuffed up the multi-filament, but it didn't matter because I didn't need that part of it.
Yeah, and this is a great tip. This is a great tip to end the show today. We already have a good starting tip for the year.
Yeah, so it's 3 inches.
Yeah, it is 3 inches. Okay, yeah, that should definitely be enough string. I think I'm going to make one of those as well, and give it a shot, because thinking about that, it's not really something that you really think like, wow, I could potentially be damaging that string, but many times that's where things break, right, at that spot. And you don't know necessarily why.
Yeah, and I learned it from a YouTube video, and I can't remember the guy's name. Real nice guy, and he emailed me the other day and said, "Hey, I think I saw you. You do a video with Pat on YouTube." So he checked out your video. So yeah, it was kind of neat.
Yeah, so I really like that idea, and I'm going to go ahead and try that idea and see how that works, because I reached out to, there's another guy that made some 3D printed ones, and he'll even 3D print your name on it, but he hadn't gotten back to me, and I'm like thinking this actually is perfect, because you know, I was
Well, I
gonna
got
buy.
this in Home Depot,
Right.
and if you don't mind waiting a week or so, I have plenty of PVC pipe
Oh no,
left.
I
Of
have.
that.
You know what? I actually have some PVC pipe
Oh,
at home. I'm gonna
okay.
check to see if it's that thickness or whatever. And then I can just cut a piece off
Yeah,
and
let
then
me
put
tell you
some.
how thick this is. So from edge to edge, yeah, it's 3/4.
It's three
From
quarters.
outside
Okay.
edge to outside edge. If you don't
Yeah,
have it,
that's pretty standard. And
let
then
me
just
know.
putting a little piece of leather or put some kind of cushion at the end so that it's not abrasive when it touches the frame.
Yeah, I put a piece of overgrip on it. I glued it with Gorilla Glue or what super glue, and then I
Right.
just took a razor edge and cut around the edge to make it a circle.
That's perfect.
Then I
Yeah.
just used an awl to pop a hole through the center, and I just weaved the string through there.
Yeah.
So
That's perfect. Yeah, I'm gonna give that a try and see how that works because that could potentially be a string saver there for you or whatever. So yeah, so thanks Brad for all and joining me on all those shows, and hopefully we'll have a good year coming forward, doing a lot more, looking at new ideas, looking at
yep,
new tools out there, more resources, and just having fun doing this show, and hopefully be able to reach a wide audience and learn from everybody and kind of build that community.
sounds great. I look forward to the same. Thanks, Pat.
All right, thanks. Have a good rest of the day.
You too.